Good evening and welcome to The Joy of Painting with me, Jack Masters. I hope you're all doing fantastically well. I do apologise about the lateness of this video. I had some personal issues I had to sort out first. But welcome to episode 1, Meet the Painter. So you can tell I'm a bit nervous for this, so we're just going to crack on and see how we go. So with this, I decided to just give myself a little bit of a incentive to start painting again. And you know, the last year's been a bit tough, but I do pride myself in being the world's laziest painter, and that I really do love painting. I can say that with so much love. I love it so much. Oh no, I'm more of a gamer. I'd rather play games and enjoy rolling dice and X and Y, but I can't get to that stage until everything is painted to a decent standard. So a few people that I've known in the past have said to me, like, I would love to know how to get from stage 1 to the final product, because sometimes I'm just like, I'm there going, yep, I'll do it, and it's fine, and then literally I forget the entire process in one go. So with these little episodes of The Joy of Painting, I thought I'd give it a go and try and see if I can kind of entice myself to follow a strict regime every week, at least an hour, and just to see if I can get some stuff done, which will be quite interesting. So we're going to start off this episode 1 with just Meet the Painter and spend about 10 minutes discussing what I'm going to be doing, and then just going to crack on with some painting. So today, I'm going to start things off with this little bad boy. Ludo from the film Labyrinth. And this is provided, well, I backed this on Kickstarter last year. And this was done by Broken Toad. And the quality of this bust is wicked. I love it. It definitely captures Ludo's, well, gentle giant nature. And I absolutely love this character, and I do apologize everyone's trying to chat to me. I am going to try and get on my phone as best I can, because sometimes I can be messaged back on Twitch, but we shall see, because sometimes my internet down here can be a little bit, well, temperamental, let's put it like that. So let's start things off with what I'm going to do. So today I'm literally going to just do some base coats for his skin and his fur. So luckily, before I started this, I completely forgot exactly what Ludo, well, colours looked wise. So I was literally going to paint the entire miniature ginger and then go, yep, it's done, that's fine, that's all I need to do. But apparently, no, he's not all ginger. He's got a bit of a, well, if you look in the picture right there, I've made sure that I don't forget what he looks like, because he's got very ginger hair, got grey-ish horns, and like a lovable face right there. Something that, well, I'd say my mother would love that for her son. But yeah, I just thought I'd just give it a go with Ludo. So I've never really painted bust before, so this is the first one that I'm going to attempt to do. So I'm a bit nervous, because obviously this is quite a hard task, but I thought I'd give it a go, because why the hell not? If I can't, because it could be interesting, it could be fun, and you know, the best thing to do is just to learn and go from there. So let me try and get a train of thought here. Products we're going to use. So just like in a certain Mr. Ross fashion, as you can see, I've kind of taken on a little kind of honourable mention of Mr. Bob Ross for his intro. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you exactly what I'm going to use today. So it's about, all I'm going to do is start with the base coats and go from there. So the base coats we're looking at today is going to be Jakara Orange from Games Workshop for his ginger fur. Still Leaving Drab is going to be for Ludo's face and ears. If you can see Literally just on his flap of his ears. It's down there. Next paint, if I get time, is going to be Macaristan Grey for the base coat of his horns. And I'm going to try in the future, try and make that a little bit more, well, start bright, darken it down a little bit, and then see how it goes. And then, no, I haven't got that one. And if we get time, I am going to wash it down with our Grexite shade. But I'm going to mainly focus on the skin. Sorry, the hair first. But I think what I'm going to do is just give you a bit of a description. So, Ludo, if you don't know Ludo, he is a friendly gigantic creature from the film Labyrinth. And he basically is enslaved by the goblins. And the lead character, Sarah, she helps him, well, basically untraps him. And he becomes one of her followers and decides to carry on her quest to stop the Goblin King and take back save her little brother, if I remember correctly. So I didn't really watch Labyrinth a lot when I was a kid, and I only recently watched The Dark Crystal. But I have to say, when Broken Toad announced these miniatures or these busts, I was like, I'm going to buy them, hands down, because they are beautiful. They're lovely. In terms of painting equipment, so what I've got here is I'm going to use number 2 Broken Toad Miniature Series Mark III Kalinsky Sable. I haven't used this one yet because it was mostly used for busts, and again, like I said, I haven't really painted busts before. So this is going to be my weapon of choice today. I've literally got a pot of water with a bit of water in it. That's about it, really. And just as a backup, I have Winsor Newton's and Games Workshop glaze and artificial layers and layer paintbrushes. I do find these are quite good, but Winsor Newton's also quite handy. And they are all lined up in a very nice paintbrush holder by Tara Model Maker. So check him out because he does fantastic miniatures for Imperial Knights, Necrons, Tau, you name it. He does so much stuff. So definitely give him a look. And then the palette you see before you is the Red Grass XL wet palette, and this one I've used in the past. It's fantastic, and I've just recently backed the Kickstarter for the version 2, and that is looking incredible so far. So I definitely go check them out if you can. So, is there anything else we need to say? I also have this thing here, which is it looks like it basically shakes up the paint for you, and it's a lot easier than just shaking rapidly. So always give your paints a good shake first, because you never know, that could be the paint could be all congealed, and make sure, and it basically isn't separated properly, isn't combined properly, and it could separate. So what else have I got to say? Yeah, so these little videos, they're going to basically to be there for people to show that you can paint, and I know for a fact it definitely can seem intimidating. I promise you that it really can seem intimidating. And I've done this hobby now for 20 years now. When I'm going to be 30 this year, so since I was 10 years old, I was going to Games Workshop in Surrey, or Woking, was my first. And I've loved it. But ever since I've kind of gotten older, I've kind of really appreciated just the gaming aspect, and that's about it, really. Not the painting side. But recently, it's kind of, for me, it just helps relax myself, and basically it's a lot therapeutic for me, to be honest. So without further ado, let's give this a go, shall we? So let's crack this open. I do apologise, it's still my first live stream doing this, so if I do seem nervous, I do apologise. So let's start by getting... Oh yeah, by the way, that is also a technique that I've always used. I've always lit my brushes, so make sure to always... The brushes are clean. I promise you that. I hope. Right, so let's get this going. So let's get the first coat on Ludo's ginger fur. So... And while I'm doing this, I might just talk, because I've tried to get music on the background, but it's not gonna work. I've tried it, and I'm not much of a tech head. Well, I say I'm not much tech head, but I'm doing the best I can. So I'm just gonna start there. And with the thing with the wet palette is that normally people just use your basic bit of paper, and that's all good and all for starting off. But I really think that to get like the best out of your paints and stuff, you need to have a wet palette or like I mean, I use personally, I just use like a tile. I would literally grab one of my tiles from my a used tile from my house and then just basically use that because it it keeps the paint wet still rather than drying up quickly, and especially in summer, trying to paint in the heat is ridiculous. So that's like none. That's never going to happen. So let's start by doing a couple baby strokes on Ludo. So you have to excuse me. I'm trying to get this used to this. So you'll notice that on the model here, I've decided to do something called the Zenith technique. And what that means is I've sprayed Ludo to begin with black spray paint, and that every miniature you do, it always is best to start with a base coat, because if you don't get the base coat on, the paint can rub off, or the paint won't stick. That's how mostly this works. Um, and the Zenith highlight, as you can see, is bringing out the details. Well, it's basically highlighting for you. Now, as Mr. Bob Ross says, we never make mistakes, just happy accidents. That's all that matters in this. And I still am not a big, I'm still terrified of painting miniatures. I still, to this day, I'm still trying my best to, get better. And I just find it really just therapeutic, really. So what did I? Let me kind of give you a bit of an introduction to who the hell I am. So for people that don't know me, my name is Jack Masters. I've been doing this hobby for 20 years now, and I started off my first army, believe it or not, was Dark Angels, and I loved the look of the Dark Angels Marines. I loved the robes. I loved how I just loved how they looked. They looked like, well, just badass people in robes, really. Like, you don't want to mess with them when they come at you at night. Absolutely not. Um, so what I basically did was I remember being given an intro to the game, and I decided that I really, really loved the look of a Land Raider. Now, when I was a kid, I didn't realize how hard that would have been, and trying to put that together with my dad, that was interesting, I tell you that. And I was so excited to get this done. I was so excited, but I'm trying my best to I just tried to basically I was so excited. You can see right now I'm trying my best to be like, chill, it's all good, it's all good. But yeah, it's very interesting. So going back to the story, I tried to get this and I'm going to try and get a little bit more in to the frame, so I do apologize. And with my camera, I'm trying to get it so you can see. So literally, I'm just doing baby strokes, literally bits and bobs, because we've got all time with, especially with painting. So I am very much a speed painter. I will get things done when I need to get done, and not to sidetrack, but one of my best mates, he he basically had to help me get my Ogre Kingdom armies painted. That's another story, but I've eventually got an army finished. Well, my Ogre army is now completed completely, and it is, well, I do enjoy it. And when COVID hit and all came down, we were going to go to the grand tournament in Nottingham, and I was so looking forward to it. I really was, but unfortunately, with COVID, there was no way that we could go, which is a shame. Also, just to point out, the thing I'm using as a holder, so that's also from Terra Model Maker. That is his fantastic plimps that he's doing. Again, like I said, like, check him out. He's got so much stuff you would not believe. So, where was I? what was I talking about? What I was doing, yeah. So got the Land Raider and I fixed it up as best I could. And then I went back into games the next day and I was like, I want to paint it badly. And yeah, it was fun. I was very keen, as probably I'm sure you guys are aware. But it just it just wasn't what I was expecting. 'Cause I thought it would be very simple, just to get it on, whack the paint on, and it would look just like the box. But oh no, I was wrong. Um, because back then Games Workshop didn't have stuff like foundation. They didn't have like contrast paints and stuff like that. It was, it took time, a long time, and that's okay. That's absolutely fine. But it kind of got to the point where I was like, I just don't like painting. I really don't. Um, and you can tell by now I'm just there going, oh, just keep on going, keep on traveling along. And I've now got to the bit in his face where I'm like, now is that skin or is that hair? And I'm trying my best to be like, I'm gonna come back to that in a second because it's okay. Because if this doesn't matter, because I can always come back and put more paint over the top if I need to. But it's just trying my best to keep calm. So you can notice already with these paints, they're coming up, and you can see where the lighter shade on Ludo is coming up, and it's starting to get definition with the Zenith look. Again, I'm sorry if any of my more experienced friends or people that know me on this stream, I do apologize. I'm still trying to get used to this. I really am, and I do apologize if I haven't commented because I cannot on right now. I can't see if anyone is commenting, but it's all right. I'm just gonna have a quick double check while if needs be, but I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. No, we're all good so far, I think. Yep, no, we're good. We're good. No one's commented. I think we're just breezing. We're just chilling, if that's the best way to put it. Uh, yes. Yeah, we're good. We're good, gravy. We're all gravy. So anyway, so I started with Dark Angels, and they were fantastic. They were one of my favorite chapters, I would say. But then I, and surprise, surprise to some people, I then started to really enjoy a certain type of army, and I remember it very well. The person who introduced me to this army basically said, "Just imagine Incredible Hulk, but lots of them." And ever since then, I adored Orks. I felt they were fantastic. I think they were the bee's knees. They were literally the hardest things ever in the galaxy, and I, I always thought that they basically were chavs in space. I mean, it's just my opinion, and it's pretty much people that I don't know. That's the way that we talked about, and that's how we kind of personified they actually are. Oh, the wet palette's still going strong. Yep, we're good. I'm still trying to get used to this wet palette. I'm still trying to get this in focus. There we go. I do apologise about this again. It's just trying to get used to this because with my other stuff, as you guys know or don't know, I DJ. So it's trying to get used to it to focus in and do its and make sure I'm not zooming out and stuff and trying to. It's hard trying to get like look at myself there, look at the this camera here and going, is it in sync? Is it not in sync? It's quite yeah, it's quite interesting. So yeah, I started playing Orks, and I decided that I thought I'd get the biggest orc of them all, and lo and behold, right then it was Gaskell Fracker, and I think as the character himself, I think he's one of the coolest characters, and I don't know if you guys, but any of you guys saw the update from Games Workshop today, but next week is the release of the new Gaskell book, and well, I say it's new. It's just the novel. It's not the codex. That's coming out soon, hopefully, because I was very excited when I saw that. Um, but it's the first. It's the It's the novel of it's basically about Gazkul, from Makari's point of view, and that's obviously his favourite grot who carries his banner. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how they get around that. So now you can see that we're almost 20 minutes in. My God, time definitely flies when you're having fun, I have to say. But I will see how I go, and we might go a bit longer, but we'll see. Because my wrist is still trying to heal, and resting it on. I'm happy I've got a magic mat here because it really hurts when I'm holding stuff up for a while, and I'm hoping it will heal up soon. Oh, that's annoying. So you see, there's a bit of hair that's just dropped off the miniature. So chop that off and put that there. So yeah, I got onto Orks and I got Gaz, and that was the old metal box, which was he was amazing. I absolutely adored that model, and I spent the longest time I spent on that Gaz. I think it was a quick dry brush, a very very quick dry brush, and picked out his skin, and that was it. And then literally I was ready to play over the next day. And then I had to choose what faction I was, and all this time I was there going, I don't know what Orc clan. I'm just gonna paint the most easiest ones that I can think of, and it literally went down, and it would turn out to be the Goths, because I think the Goth attitude is that there is so many of them. They are numerous, and you just literally you can try and take them down, but there's more boys behind them. And I love the goth attitude. It's perfect. So I recently went through. Oh, look at that! He's beautiful. Look at that! Lovely ginger, lovely. Um, it's perfect. Just very nice and calm. Very very calm. Again, I'm trying to be like Bob Ross and be like, anyone can do this. Anyone can. You just got to take the time. So with this, speaking of technique, and where I got this idea from. So I remember Duncan from the Warhammer painting. I can't remember his second name, but Duncan used to do all the painting, with the, multiple thin layers and all that jazz. Like he was fantastic, and I had to look because I couldn't remember what Ludo looked like in terms of his color. I thought it was all ginger, but as you can see, I think I've said that before on the stream. I can't remember, but you can see that his face is more stony, so it's more like a Steel Legion drab to begin with. But then you've got reds in there. You've got his eyes. You've got black for his nose. You've got his mouth and the whole like his teeth. It's different colours, and that's the thing. So I was talking to my friend Ben McIntyre, who is Brush Demon on Instagram. So you guys also go check him out. He said a very good thing about if you're wanting to start something, always make sure to get reference. Because I never really did it in the past. I just, excuse me, I literally just decided to grab just a few inspirations, pictures from Ludo, and just go, right, let's see if I can try and get the right angle and see if I can get. So picking the right angle means that you can see where to highlight. So it's right now it's not important because we're just doing base coats, but once we get to the highlighting stage, this will be quite crucial because you can see doing hair, it's a bit tricky, especially on busts, because again, I've never done busts, so this is entirely brand new territory. So I literally wanted to try my best to see if I can do this with just GW paints, but I think it might come to a stage where I will need to use some other paints. So my other choices would be Vallejo, because I've been using them with my airbrush for what I did last year, and they were fantastic. Going straight for a airbrush is lovely. And GW, like both of them, both GW and Vallejo, I think are some of the best product paints in the range. Because Vallejo, my God, it's also my goodness, is you never know. You could have. It's just so easy to It's so easy just to apply to an airbrush, and then boom, you're in straight into doing everything else. For everyone that's joined on Facebook and Twitch, lovely to meet you. It's great to see you. Again, I'm sorry I can't comment on stuff, so if I do apologize if I take a bit of time, but we will keep going as the best I can, and I will answer any questions you wish to ask. But you know, it's just I'm here to show you guys that anyone can paint. It just takes time. So, what else can we talk about? Oh yeah, how can we forget my first my first boxer boys. My God, that was fun. So I always like the goth aspect, and the goth aspect is very much they are there in numbers and they will not stop. So let's try and do these other frames, and you can now see with the small little strokes and like multiple thin layers. This might have to go for a second time, but you can definitely start to see once you get the paint on it and it's a lot smoother, it's so much easier to then pick out where the rest of the model's going. So Duncan always says to have two thin coats, and I completely agree. Especially unless I'm trying to get into a tournament in a very quick fashion, it's two thin coats because it gives you a very, very, very nice base to work with. And then you can see from his side here, that's now getting all nice and gingery. And then once we get to the next stage, it's going to look a lot nicer. But you've always got to put the first initial step down. So, one thing I was actually going to say, so I don't, if many of you don't know, my kind of painting aspect or my kind of idea is just like, I can't bother. Half the time, I'm literally like, I just want a game. I just want a game, and I just want to roll dice, and that is it. And then obviously with the lockdown, I know a lot of people that have tried playing online and using like stuff on Steam, and I'm sure that was fantastic. But for me, you don't get the same experience, and I love the social aspect. I love going to tournaments. I love going there and just having a laugh with your friends and just representing like the team if you're in there. So I'm in the Tunsgate Tyrants, and we've been going for a long time. I say a long time, like we've just had a bit of a laugh really. I'm trying our best to just go up to Nottingham, go to Weimar World, and just have a real good time. Right, this is where it's starting to get a little bit ridiculous. This is where it's starting to get annoying because you can notice that the paint on the wet palette is getting a little bit too watery. And this, again, that probably will be me getting a bit cautious, going, oh no, I don't want to mess up on live stream. But you know what? I don't mind because I'm just trying my best to literally use this as a little bit of an incentive to get me painting again. Because I took a year out for personal reasons, just so I could focus on myself and get myself back on track. And it took a while, but I think what kickstarted this was, oh, look at that orange, that's lovely. Oh, my leg. What kickstarted this again was the new Ork stuff, and I can't stress how much I love the Ork army. It's aesthetic. It's all about just complete and utter chaos. Like, they have no strict rules. It's just going, yep, I just want to do this, we'll do this. Because I think my favourite story from the Ork Codex, like not the original one, but like one that I think that will always stick in my memory, was a biker boss called Wazdak, and he was a big mech that loved his bike. He loved being on a bike and being a speed freak. And he was on a war. I think he was on his own war, and a war, for those that don't know, is just it's just a huge number of orcs trying to take on as best I can. So look at that, look at that beautiful stroke. Whoop. There you go. And another one. Whoop. Oh, look at that, it's perfect. I'm loving this now. So yeah, the war was on a planet, and they were basically getting decimated by the Imperial forces. So like the bad guys in my eyes, because all Imperial players are scumbags in my eyes, because they are truly not the good people. There's no, but to be fair, there's no one truly good in the 41st million, apart from Nurgle, because he truly is happy to spread plague. He's the only one who is good. One side tip as well. You'll notice that I'm using my little pinky to hold on to the miniature. It's a bad habit. So, because once you start doing that, once like the first initial paint comes onto the miniature, let's say it wasn't the Zenith technique on there, so it just literally was a white. The paint can start to rub off, because obviously the moisture in your hand, and if you're pressing on it, the fingerprints could show, and obviously that's a gnarly thing. It's not very good. So the best thing I would suggest is get a pair of gloves. Just get your standard COVID, anti-COVID gloves, because apparently they were out of stock at the start of this lockdown. But I'm happy to say that it's quite easy to get back onto them now. And yeah, just anyways, yes, yeah, about Wazdaka, yeah. So Wazdaka basically, the Imperials had brought this massive Titan, and this is like, these Titans are bigger than cities. They're hundreds of feet high, and oh, look at that, he's beautiful. Look at him. Um, and he basically saw this Titan just decimate his army, and he was like, "I'm not having that, not a chance." So he basically rode off. He rode off this massive cliff and went straight through his void shields, which is like the thing that protects him from anything. He got burned up in the jump, in the stunt, if you could call it that, and he crashed straight into the cockpit of this Titan. The Titan then just went completely quiet, and then straight after about 5 minutes, it started firing on the Imperials, and it turned out he literally had killed them, burned them alive, and then took control and started firing wildly at the Imperials. And ever since then, he kept the skulls of the he's kept the skulls of those enemies on his back, of his bike, and he absolutely adored that. I'm thinking I may have got this wrong, because you can see here, the camera, there we go, the camera focus. You'll see, like, here you've got hair strands there and there, but I reckon this is his skin. Oh dear. But as the mighty Bob Ross once said, we don't make mistakes, they're happy accidents. So I can go back over there with the actual paint. So I think, after just having another look, I think we've got most of the ginger hair done. And that's good, because this is the first time, believe it or not, I'm doing ginger. So, you know, it's going to be a very, very interesting how this comes out. And what was I saying about Duncan? Yes, Duncan. So this ginger hair color, this was from Duncan Games Workshop. So what I'll do is, when this video goes up on YouTube, I will edit it and show you exactly where the link to the description of where the his tag, well, the link to the Facebook video. And basically it's very simple. So what we're going to do, as you've seen, it's just do his head. So just do his lovely hair of ginger locks, that's the one. And then we do a highlight, and then we ink it. I'll have to double check on that one, because I cannot remember. I think there's a lot of information going from my head right now going, stream, paint, don't let it run. But I'm trying my best not to panic, because quite frankly, I think painting on a camera is quite nice. I really think it is, because it's a bit of an effective way of actually getting stuff done, because I'm very much a person that is very, very, very easy to show. You see there, look? I think that's the hair, but I think these bits here, I think that's all skin. But I can definitely foresee that this is going to be a model where I'm like, I don't know what is what. I'm going to do this multiple times, but do I care? No, because I'm enjoying this. I actually am enjoying getting back into painting slowly but surely. So while just going to make sure that all that lovely hair is covered, because once this is done, I can imagine this ginger hair is going to look very vibrant, very, very big. Oh, look at that! Look, I can't believe I didn't see that wasn't hair. It's my age. Even though I'm only going to be turning 30, that's definitely my age going. Oh, you see, that's a good thing. So you'll notice that when you start doing dry side like this, that's when you've got not really much paint on your brush. So literally just, again, put them all down, go back to the wet palette, and get some more. So you see there, it's a little bit too wet on that end. Sorry, a little bit too wet. It hasn't got enough texture in my opinion anyway. So I might just have to get some more paint onto the palette. I know I said to do multiple thin coats, and I do believe that with the wet palette, it makes the paint a lot more liquidy, and it's great. But you can see here you've got just blank parts, so I just want to cover them up again. So again, just covering up for another thin coat, because you've got some bits here which are perfect, they're all like ready to go, but I want to make sure that these bits here, these highlight bits, because they're going to look beautiful once all these bits are done. It's going to be vibrant, because the plan is, as I said before, we're going to highlight it. And sometimes people do say to me, like, I am terrified to do highlights and stuff, but this is coming from people that haven't played the hobby, haven't done this before. And you know, I was there too. Like oh god, like as I said to you before, like I'm not a big painter, but I have been told by people that I can paint, and I know I can, but again, I'm just very lazy. I am very, very lazy. But it's all right, because it's a hobby. It's not my job. It's just I enjoy doing this because it makes me happy. It's the main thing. And it's something about just putting your effort into doing something like this, something very technical, and it literally makes the time go by. And even when it's just trying to just get your mind off something, I don't think I've ever seen anything else quite like painting miniatures like this. Because like, you give me something like a canvas to paint, and I'd be like, no, thanks. I need physical I need physical models, like these kind of models, because you give me something like you give me like this mat here, this Magic the Gathering mat, I couldn't do that. No way. I wouldn't even attempt that. Even if it's just a basic stick man, not a chance. Not a chance. No way. Could not do that in the slightest. So I think for now we're gonna be good. So what we're gonna do is while that ginger hair starts to get dries up, we're gonna go on to the next bit, which is gonna be Ludo's lovely face, and we're gonna start by doing we're gonna do a bit of Steel Legion drab on his face. So, as I said, this kind of the ginger hair that was from Duncan, and that definitely was a really good technique. So I've got that down. This is going to be literally off my own back. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll go from there. Because if you look at Ludo's face, if you look at the image below, it's not entirely brown. Like, you've got essence, you've got bits of red in there, you've got black through his nose. I said you've got his teeth as well. So it's just trying to get those few basic coats, because I can always come back and finish them off. But I think once the initial colour goes on, and then you can work up from it, it should be fine. So the reason why I've got these brushes was because Broken Toad do pride themselves on making paintbrushes for every kind of any kind of situation. But I think you see there, that's going on very liquidy, but that's fine, because I'm going to give us 2 coats. But I think once it goes on, because you can imagine doing this with just a basic brush. So I've got like a Winsor & Newton Series 0, and imagine, look at the size of that. Doing that on the brush, no way, absolutely no way, because that would be absolutely horrible. Because I once knew a guy, George Keys, lovely guy, absolutely lovely, and he painted a Rhinox rider with just a detail brush, and the final result was absolutely spectacular. It was phenomenal. But I was there like, fair play, man, fair play, because I wouldn't even attempt doing that. No, but that's insane. That is literally insane. Doing just using just a detail brush to paint that miniature. So as you can see on Luna's face right now, we've got the browns going on, and you can see down here you've got some of the black, and the black still coming through. So that's fine, because as I said before, we're not trying to get it so it's completed in one go, because we're going to take a lot of time on this, because it could end up being a couple of days, like it could be a couple of sessions, it could be anything. Because what I aim to do on this channel as well, I say this channel, this is just my hobby, it's just try and do different techniques and show people what you can do and achieve with just little effort. And I wouldn't say little effort, but you can do a lot once you actually research. Because I never really researched how to paint before until last year. Because I was given the opportunity to the opportunity, but I wanted to take pride in myself, my Warhammer, and actually get my stuff done. So a good friend of mine, Dave Glacier, who is Armory Dave on Instagram, again, go check him out. He's fantastic. He's really really good. He's a big 30k nutter. But 30k is not for me because there's no orcs in 30k. Well, not playable rules anyway, unless you want to. Well, you can technically, but yeah, I like 40k. But he basically gave me a hand and showed me some techniques about how to do ogre skin in a really really effective way, and it was basically just airbrushing on the skin, and then you use watered down ink and you glaze it. So you basically put them in. You basically put them into the recesses. So if you look at your hand, if you look into your hand and you see like the marks on here, um, once the light goes off, it's going to be dark. So with the glazing, you just do multiple. You do your flat cut. You do all your highlights. It's all done. But then you then go back and do the highlight, the darkness, or like the glazing base. You do the highlights, but that way. And I have to say, it was a really good tactic, a really really good way of getting around this. And looking at the final result of my ogres, I love them. I think they're great. And me being a an avid ogre player and an ogre lover, like I've always loved. Well, I don't know, like I've always loved the when I well, that's another story. So when in fantasy I played my first AOS arm, my first a Warhammer Fantasy army, if that's the best way to put it, was Lizardmen, and I love the Carnosaur, I love the magic, I love the Slan. They were fantastic. But when Games Workshop announced they're doing an army just of monsters, I was like, yes, please sign me up. I will take an army of monsters because they are wicked. And uh, I loved the skin what they had. Let's do zero nose. Boop 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 boop. Gonna have fun on this stream. Um, and yeah, like there's some. I loved the skin which they did, and it was kind of like a if any of you guys can remember, like the Commando khaki kind of look. So it was like the original ogre skin, and it was that dark rotting. Well, I say like kind of looks like rotting flesh. Um, and I loved it. But trying to paint that back then, oh my goodness, like no chance. I had no patience for that because it's like multiple like this here, like you can see not on the camera, but there's bits here still wet, which is fine. But it will definitely need a second coat because it's just not the first coat is not gonna be able to be enough. Because I prefer making sure that everything is done at the best way possible, in my opinion, anyway. Um, and trying to get used to this now, anyway. Trying to. Um, it has not been 40. My goodness, that's insane. I forget how quick these sessions go. Like honestly, I've only literally done like his hair and his face, literally just his face. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try and get the face done a bit more, and I want to at least try and get the base coats on his face and his neck, and then look at the tackle the I'm looking at tackling the back of the head anyway, in the best way. So here we go. Whoop. And there you see, once you start going to the white, it shows a lot. It gives off a lot more highlight. I know it sounds stupid, but once you can see it, once it starts to highlight, you can then know exactly where to go. And you know what? I could be doing this completely wrong, but I'm having fun. That's the main thing. And I've seen a lot of painters that previewed these miniatures, and oh my goodness, they looked amazing. So I've got also to paint. I've got the Skeksis Chamberlain, the Chamberlain. Yes, I love that mod. I love that character. I loved how he was in the original Dark Crystal. I loved how they did it in the Netflix show. I'm still bummed that they're not doing a sequel to that because they didn't get the license. Well, Netflix didn't renew the series, so I am. If anyone out there watches Netflix, or at least someone knows someone in Netflix, please tell that The Joy of Painting, Jack Masters wants another series. That'd be amazing. As much as I would love to put money towards that, I I am mud. I am just your humble average Joe, and I cannot put money that. But if it was literally a small amount, I could give it my best shot. But I cannot. I would love to see a future because they left it on such a cliffhanger. It sucks. I don't know about you guys, but I hate it when they leave stuff on cliffhangers. It is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Especially when it's like the Dark Crystal. Like, oh my goodness! Like, if anyone has watched it, you will know exactly what I mean. It's like, one of my friends posted on Instagram about the Castlevania. There's a massive cliffhanger, and I haven't watched Castlevania yet, but like you hear cliffhanger, I'm like, oh, that's great, awesome. That's really good. Thanks for that. And especially when in Netflix's case, where sometimes they can't guarantee to get their sequel series, like you just can't risk it. You just can't. Because I really want things to go well with any of the series that I like, but it just seems as though it's always the big things. But I tell you one thing that I do think is interesting on Netflix, but you've got so many murder documentaries, and they are really, really interesting, I have to say. Nothing better than just sitting, having a pizza or a takeaway and just literally watching that. Oh, it's lovely. That's bliss. Absolute bliss. Boop, in his nose. Boop. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that lovely face. How can you say no to that face? Look at that. Well, currently you could do because it's not fully done, but um you know, I thought I was to be a lot more nervous on this kind of stream, to be honest, but it seems to be going all right so far. Not very much a nervous person. Like I try to be. Not I try not to be a nervous person, but anxiety can be a bitch sometimes. And what else was I gonna say? What else? What else? What else was I gonna say? What else? I could talk for hours. Just random crap. Absolute random. Because I had this idea. So the whole the painting with Jack Masters. So I'm an avid watcher of Count Dankula on YouTube, and I watched one of his videos called Absolute Mad Lads, and it was Bob Ross. And I never knew how much of a gangster or a lad Bob Ross was. He was lovely, absolutely lovely person. And the amount of times I've seen that he's in cult. Everyone knows who he is. He's a cult icon. So I thought, like, why not have a bit of fun in the hobby community and just see what happens with this? Because everyone who knows me in terms of um the hobby community, in well, whoever knows me anyway, knows that I despise painting. I absolutely despise it because I just want to game. That's all I want to do. I just want to kick face. I just want to go with my army to a tournament, have some fun, and do the best I can. Because ultimately, I'm very much I take a lot of respect for gamers because a lot of people that I've played, I just want to make sure I have the same amount of respect for them they have for me, and I love it. It's one of the best things. Always being honourable, I guess, is the best way to put it. Even for an orc player, like I have shown a little bit of it. Like I remember, what did I do? Oh, yes, I remember now. So there was so when 40k got redone the first time, that's a very bit of a hard thing for me to swallow that one. Um, I went with my mate Dave and Sam, and we went to the GT up in Nottingham. And Dave and Sam had their new books. They had the chaos. They had, I think it was both chaos. Sam had Nurgle, and Dave was running Demons of Chaos. And what did I have? Well, I was running Codex. I was running the Index 2 Orc book, and my God, oh, it was horrible. It was just awful, absolutely awful. Like I thought people had it bad, but oh my, you have no. Literally, it was the worst thing ever. Like having an army which literally has no rules in the book. Like it has literally one page. That is it, and it was awful. And one of the guys I played, because my army at the time was because a couple of years before that, I won the Throne of Skulls with Orks, and it was basically I can still remember it now. It was Gaskell Fracker, uh, a big mech with custom force field, 60 boys with 60 slugger boys and 3 units of 20 shooter boys with shooters, and I think that was it. 6 death copters or 3 death copters, for the missiles and stuff. 2 looted wagons because I loved looted wagons back then because they just fired blast 10 minutes and went boom 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 off you're going. It's great. That but also have the button that don't press that, and then if they roll a 1, they can go off. They can get a bit too anxious and go straight forward. And I had some killer cans and a death dread called Stompy, and the one thing I'll say about that tournament was I came down to the last game. I think it was game 5, and I got played against Dark Elder. And at that time, it was very much his army was Venom spam, and air, bloody what's the thing, razor wing jet fighters, and they basically I lost the first turn, and basically he decided, so it was him. He basically had the first turn. He deployed his entire army, and I was like, right, okay, so I'm going to deploy my army, and because he had all these like virus missiles and stuff. I was there like, if I lose first turn, if I don't get first turn, I'm dead. I am dead. But the best thing is I had was Dark Elder at that time. They had paper armor basically, so literally what it means is I could have fired my big shooters and my basic guns and go, off you go, you're dead. No, I'm just gonna fire all my weapons at you, and that was my plan. But back then, I had to basically rely on one dice roll to seize initiative, and basically like, no, it's mine. So he deployed, I deployed, everything was ready to go, and then I literally had to roll my dice, and we both know what was going to happen. Whoever got the first turn won, and I was on table 4, or I think I was on table 4 or 5. I rolled the dice. I couldn't look. 6 came up, and I stood up in the middle of the massive gaming hall arena, and I shouted "War" at the top of my lungs. The entire place was dead silent, absolutely silent, and then the entire crowd then just shouted "War" at the back, and it was the best feeling I have ever had one of the best times I've ever had in One World. And that's what I love about this hobby, because it gives so much energy. And no matter what you're feeling, if you're feeling like absolute rubbish, you want something to do. This hobby caters for that. And yes, I am painting Ludo from Labyrinth, and he's not a GW miniature, but I learned most of my life skills from that place. Like, I didn't talk to girls. I was such a social inept creature. I couldn't do anything. I learned everything, like my English, maths, everything. I learned from GW, and I have so much respect for that hobby. And not many people know that. Like, and a few of my close friends know about what I did and what I love. But honestly, like, if it wasn't for Games Workshop, I wouldn't be the same person I am. So anyone who's on there, like whoever worked in Games Workshop, whoever has trained me in the arts, or taught me to be a staff member in training. That is Denny Graves, Ben Williams, Joe Logan, Duncan Luca, Ashley Homewood. Oh, you guys, I love you to bits. Like, you taught me so much, and I respect that so much. And that's what kind of who I am today, the best I can be. But enough of the emotional malarkey. So yeah, I took first turn, and I literally had to run everything forward because I knew for a fact if I didn't take down those jet fighters, they would have killed me. They would have annihilated me, absolutely destroyed me. And I couldn't have that, not a chance. So I literally fired everything into these jet fighters. And at the time, they weren't as because they were flyers, but they didn't count as flyers. So you could shoot them normally. So now in the game, they're very difficult to think because you can imagine like a jet fire going for the air, going like you can't fire it because they're trying to get out, they're trying to dodge all the bullets, they're trying to get away, and then they're quite hard to touch. But back then it was a lot simpler, and luckily I knocked two of them out of the sky with I think like big shooter shots because again they're paper armor. I was just going daka 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 daka, off you go. Now I'm just going to shoot you and just take you out of the system. And yeah, it was phenomenal. Like, and because of that, I came overall first with Orks, with the best army for Orks, and 5 out of 5 best sport. So it was a very emotional day. Let's put it that, a very emotional day, and I've still got the Throne of Skulls up on my cabinet, on my shelf right there, and I now own mostly sporting awards, but one award that I will never ever forget. Well, there's a few, which I'll never forget, is when the team of the Xenoarchy band, which is Brad Glover, Ashley Rowe, and Dave Glacier, and myself, we basically had this Mexican themed army, and it was all alien, it was all Xeno. So we had Tau, guys, you have to remind me sometime, but it's Tau, Tyranids, Orks, and Orks, because Dave took Scum Moons, because I hate Bad Moons with a passion, but I'll get on to that another time. And I took Goths, but my Goth army, it wasn't your normal army, because I kind of found out that Stompers are quite handy they're quite handy to have, especially when they're backed up by 2 kill tanks as well. So that was my army. It was literally 3 models for an Orc army. Was a 2 kill bursters with belly cannons and a stomper named Steph. So it was Bessie, Big Steph, Big Bessie, Big Bertha. And the look of people's faces was like, how is that literally an Orc army? I'm like, don't hate the player, hate the game. And again, it's because I didn't want to paint anything. I didn't. So literally, the kill burster was painted when I got given it by a friend. So thank you, Ian Orty, if you ever do watch this. Thank you very much for that. I do really appreciate you getting me that lovely bit of kit, because that was one of the best Orc tanks I've ever played with, hands down. And the other one I borrowed from Dave, because I wanted to run lots and lots of tanks. I say lots, it was literally 2 models and a Stomper. And even though it was yellow, it was Scum Moons, I was like, no, it's been looted, it's fine. Goths have got inside, it's alright, it's okay. It's absolutely fine. And the Stomper with Steph, now that's got a story. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I do apologise if I do seem I'm telling a lot of different stories, but I've got literally one thing goes to another, to another. But I will try and wrap up when I can. But I just hope you're enjoying the looking at this beautiful model. So if we can look, just taking a quick minute just to have a look what we're doing. So as you can see, I've done most of the skin. It will definitely need a second coat of Steel Legion Drab. That's the one. And you know what? To be fair, for my first miniature, just doing base. I know it's just base coats, but it's not that bad. I thought it was gonna be worse. A hell of a lot worse. But yeah, Big Steph. Oh, I love Big Steph. She's I made a I made a tune of her with the Gaston in mind, and it was like, no one hits like Big Steph, no one shoots like Big Steph, and it kind of continued down that line, and oh my goodness, I adored that model. It's she is one of my most treasured bits of uh well, my most favoured miniatures I've ever done. And she currently is in the mech shop. So if any of you have seen on my Instagram page, I've got my that Joy of Painting Instagram account. So if you just type in _joy _ of painting, you will see that she's been put back into the mech shop for upgrades, if that's the best way to put it. And she's currently in there for getting getting a new shooter, a big shooter, another shooter, maybe another one if I've got spare, maybe another one. But then also she's getting a new toy on the left on her right arm, and I'm really looking forward to showing you guys what she looks like in the future. But with my life right now, it's very difficult. So I try to with my life, it's trying to fit in. So this is why again I go back to that painting, the joy of painting, is because it kind of makes me scheduled to do an hour of painting in a week, and it could be like, as we've seen now, I can see from my my snazzy OBS studio is telling me that we've gone over, well, we've now got to the hour mark, and I think, to be quite honest with you, I'm gonna keep on going just so I can get these base coats down on at least his skin and the hair. Not saying I'm gonna have to go for a double coat as well, but you know what? I'm quite thoroughly enjoying this, taking the time to chat. You know, I could have people watching, I could not, but I'm just having fun. And again, like, I would love to be able, I just want to show you guys how easy it is, or it just shows that you can do stuff, you can do this. So let's try and fix the error. Sorry, the happy accident what's on Ludo's head. So we can see here that his hairline goes from there. So if we go there, and then if it doesn't look right, we just go back, because obviously Ginger is quite vibrant, and I'm sure for a fact we can get in the nooks and crannies and make it look like there is hair there. There technically isn't, so we're kind of cheating, technically. But to be honest, it's not that bad. I thought it was going to be worse, because it's just, you get to a stage where you're doing anything, like if you're you're playing a game online with your friends, you're doing housework, you're doing anything, and if you haven't got a set plan in motion, sometimes it could just backfire. So I'm gonna say that's a bit. Oh no, I think I've done that. Oh no, oh no, 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 no. I think I may have put that as a bit of hair, and it shouldn't have been. No, it was meant to be hair. Rubbish. But it's okay. It's all right. It's okay, because we can go back over in a minute. But as long as I get the base coats of these bad boys on here, it's fine. So as I've said before, I'm gonna try and attempt to do this with GW paints, because before I went on my massive tangent. So again, I do apologise. So the painters that I've seen do these miniatures beforehand, so like they had the pre 3D. I want to say they had the 3D printed models at the first casts of them, and I followed them on Twitch and YouTube and stuff. And I didn't watch them long, but my goodness, they looked absolutely amazing, because they were using like oil paints on miniatures, and I was there like, oh, cool, awesome. That's something I can give it a go, but I think I'm going to stick with acrylics just now, because they are a lot more smoother. So I think, what do you think of that? Is that not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? I would kiss that. I mean, it might be a bit hairy, but I mean, it is quite beautiful, to be fair. Ooh. And the one thing I will say in regards to these miniatures, so the miniatures were fantastic. They were top notch. But when I got the plimps, I was a bit disappointed because the plimps were free. So just to kind of give you some background, the plimps are free to anyone to anyone who bought a bust, they got a plimp for free, and that's great. That's awesome. But when I looked at them a bit closely, and my good friend Taro Model Maker, he has also put a supply in for his own plimps, and I have them here right in front of me. Um, Now I'm not a big now I don't know much about plimps, but you can see this is only like a holding one. This isn't really a proper plimp, but for someone that was sending out these plimps, they looked not the most finished, if that's the best way to put it. They looked like they just came off the assembly line and they weren't done proper. They just looked they weren't sanded, they just you could see any modelers out there, anyone that kind of knows much about plimps and stuff, which I was told, is that you look at the plinth and you can see the 3D printed lines in the plinth, and I thought to myself, that's not right. They should at least be, well, if you're sending out a product, and I spent a lot of money on these things. Like I spent in total, and I just say now, I'm gonna say it, £350 I spent on these. I backed them for 350 quid, and that got me a few miniatures, and they are lovely. Don't get me wrong, the miniatures that they sculpted are beautiful. They are absolutely phenomenal. But the plimps, even though they were free, and fair play to Broken Toes, it was a good kind of back, a good incentive to buy the busts. I just think they could have been a lot better. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use another. Look at that. I've just noticed some air bubbles. I've just noticed them. Rubbish. But it's okay, because I'm very much once it goes on a shelf, you're not going to see the air bubble. You won't. Because this one is going to be, well, my first attempt at bust. So there's always going to be your first miniature, your first bust you do, and see exactly how things play out. So yeah, not bad at all, I have to say. Look at that lovely mug. Look at him. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get, seeing as I've got the base I've got the orange down for his skin or his ginger hair. I've got the Steel Legion drab down for his face and his skin. I'm going to do his horns, because it shouldn't take too long, just to get it done. Just to get it done. Ooh, steady. Steady. Right, so I think that's going to see how we play with this one. Doobie-doo. So, now with the grey, as you can probably see from the picture down below, his face, his horns are quite grey, but there's going to be a lot more. There's a bit of a brownness, so like not everything that you see is going to be one specific colour. You're going to have like different kinds of shades of greens, blues. I would say inks. Because I would say it has a few bits of. Well, I mean, like, I would look at those horns in for the puppet, and I'd say it has definitely some brown textures, some browny textures, and some greys in there. But again, it all depends on where you're looking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a base coat, and I'm trying to think now, because it's more brown than grey. That's the thing. So I'm very curious to see if I want to. Oh, okay. Let's go a little bit. Let's go something a bit more. I'm going to go with my gut here, and we're going to try, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, from the horns from that picture below my my camera here, I would say it looks more brown. So very much dark brown to begin with, but then kind of go up into, well, the lighter shade, I think. So hopefully, yeah, we're still good. We're going to do Rhinox hide. So put that onto there. Give me a second, because I think I've just got some paint. Yep, I do. I've got paint on my hands. The one thing I love about this hobby, one thing, so much crap. There you go. So with that wash, make sure the brittles are nice. Back onto the wet palette, and then going. What I will mention about the next wet palette is they've just Red Grass Games have put up a new Kickstarter for their next wet palette Mark II, and I've put in a backer for the new baby one, and because I've obviously got this one here, which is lovely, and I couldn't believe, because I haven't painted for so long, but the paint which was on there basically had dried up, and the foam beneath had also crinkled up, and I was like, oh god, oh no, that's it, it's gone, I can't use it again, rubbish. But it actually put back, I just put cold water back on the thing into the sponge, and it was perfect. It just it went back to being its normal self, and I was like, win, that's a good thing. Ooh, it's right there, back in that, right behind his one. There you go. And then down we go. I've thoroughly enjoyed this evening, I have to say. Little bits of painting here and there. So what I probably will do, ladies and gents, is I'm gonna, look at that, beautiful. It's getting some colour and getting some character now. Wicked. Absolutely lovely. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do, I reckon, is I'm gonna get this done. Well, I'm gonna start by getting at least show you what the basic colours will look like, at least anyway, because I think it's going to take a while for this to dry, especially if I've got to do another light coat. So I'm thinking it's for next week's episode is I'm going to show you the next stage. So I'm between next week's episode and now I'm going to probably get the second coat done off camera, so we can go straight fresh, and without a lot of talking, we can get this done. Oh, there we go. So there we've got his horns. Lovely. And then just to get things on the roll. Give me 1 second. We're going to go with some Xandri dust on his little teeth. So just to give him just the initial go. So please excuse me on this one, because this Xandri dust has not been used for quite some time. A very long time. So it's kind of the two bits have basically been drawn apart from each other. So you've got to use the mixer to get it back to its normality. And this mixer, I grabbed this last year, and it basically was quite expensive because it's used for normally to shake up test tubes. But for paints and inks and washes, they're beautiful. So that's been about there for about 30 seconds. So let's see what we've got. Look at that! Back to normal. I should have really shown you what it looked like before, but I guarantee it looked like green goop in there. It was literally like, that looked like the Bug of Eternal Stench from Labyrinth, I promise you that. And that is horrible. So literally we're going to do that. So you can see this is very liquidy, because obviously I'm trying to get this back to what it used to be, and it will take time. I may be talking absolute rubbish, but you know, I'm gonna do it. I'm doing this from my perspective. So if we go, put his little horns there. Well, let's say horns, his little teeth, his little smiling face. There we go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, right now anyway, is the start of Ludo from Broken Toad. So, as I said before, I will get onto the rest. I will do second the second the second bit the second base coat on, and then next week we will go and start off with the next stage for both of them. Well, we'll try and do the skin. We'll do the ginger. We'll do the ginger hair first. Then we'll do the skin tone, and if we get time, because this may obviously take a lot longer. But yeah, by next Sunday, you'll see a lot more. Well, combination of this miniature. So, thank you all so much for joining in me with this Sunday evening. Thank you for spending your time. If you like this, please follow me on my Twitch account. I will put up this picture with the paints I used today, so you guys know exactly what you need if you want to do the same with your own Ludo. And if you ever want to continue, if you ever want any comments with anything else, please give me a shout. I'm just DM me or put on my Instagram and stuff, and we can go from there. But thank you all so much for joining, and keep those brushes in your head and ready to get going, and see you next week. Have a nice evening.